Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am here for the Integrated Entrepreneur. It's Jonathan Federa with my awesome co-host Keith. Keith, what's going on, big dog?
What up, dude? Another day in the life of an integrated and defeated entrepreneur.
when we're actually telling the truth, yes, yes.
Yeah, man, that's not what it is, dude.
Yeah, we get our ass kicked just like anybody else. At least we'll actually say it and try to teach you the lessons we learn from it. Like, I'll give you a great example. We should have included this on the show today. But me and Keith had a probably like a good 5 minute back and forth about his awesome beard and how my beard needs to get there and what I need to do, what steps I need to take. And we should have had that on the show. Next time in the future, we will. All right. But
Let's
now,
get into today's conversation of what are we doing to pivot in
yes,
this current environment, and what are we
yes,
changing? And that really stemmed from this word that we hear all too well and way too much of I'm going to start a side
side.
hustle. So it's 2023, and we're still hearing side hustle every 37th word in the English dictionary, where people are just leveraging this term as if it is the end all be all and the course corrector of all course correction, right? Uh, but yeah, it's just funny, and I think it's also something people need to hear and talk about today too. Is just did the market's what the market is, interest rate they are what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Political climate is what it is. It isn't going to change anytime soon. And now we've got one or two or three wars happening on the other side of the world
Yep.
to throw into a mix of that. So, what I wanted to discuss today is the term side hustle and just how defeating that word can be if it's not looked at with the right perspective, right?
Yeah. And I think we should start with talking about what the right perspective is versus how it's used outside.
Yeah. And I think the term side hustle came up as just an easy way to make money on the side, meaning side hustle, right? The reality is, in my opinion, it has been used so loosely that it has now become the lazy man's way of wanting to change his position in business,
Yeah.
right? When the shit gets too tough, when you get punched in the face 26 times in a week, the mind starts to wander,
Yeah.
right? Just and dude, I'm just as guilty of this shit all the time. I always talk about, hey, I wonder what I'm gonna do next. What's the next hustle? What's the next thing? The difference is, um, I've dominated my core business first, which
Yep.
is now allowing me time and energy and money to do the side hustle that will turn into a second business,
Yeah.
right? Um, when you hear side hustle, dude, where does your mind go?
Well, I'll tell you what I feel is the right way to do it. And then I'll also elaborate what I feel is overused and the wrong way. The right way is you are at a 9 to 5 that you hate, or it doesn't pay the bills, or you want more control over your life and over your destiny, right? And I'm not telling you to go out and quit your job, okay? But the right way to do a side hustle is usually what you do when you're employed and you have an idea to start a business. You want a little bit more control over your income.
Right?
You might want to make some extra money, but really what you're doing is proving a concept, okay? You have an idea or a service that you can offer to the market, but you're currently employed. And you want to do this while you're employed. And hopefully it builds up and takes up enough steam, whether that's in 6 months, 12 months, 2 months, 2 years, whatever it is, build up enough steam where you can leave your current job and run a business. That to me is a side hustle. Okay. When you're an operator and you are not dominating your core competencies, I would never in a million years think of a side hustle. Okay. Your A, B, and C needs to be the business. Now, if you are dominating and then you see something that is ancillary that you would like to add to your offering because your clients would be helped by it, That isn't a side hustle. That's vertically integrating something into your business where you already have customers coming in and you're just offering more value. Both of those, option A, actually being 9 to 5 and starting a side hustle and trying to grow it so you can leave, or vertically integrating another offer into your already great company, those are fine. What Keith and I are specifically speaking of is anything that doesn't really fit, that now is some type of obsession or side gig when you're not crushing your main gig. At that point, you're not, it's not a side hustle, it's a distraction.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it is. It's a distraction. I'll tell you what, I have a good friend, and my good friend wanted me to get an Amazon store. It has nothing to do with my business. Okay. I already bought two, or actually three, lost 100K. I have no interest. And even if his worked, it's still a distraction. Those 2 hours a week, okay, that he says I would spend on it, I can't afford because my main business is much more of a priority and I don't want the distraction.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, here's really what happens with these side hustles is you get caught in an area of weakness in your own business.
Hmm.
You start having the entrepreneur question of the day. Is this really what the fuck I should be doing? Can I do this? Right? Is this going to work? Uh, I think I asked that to myself 4 times today. Before 12.
He's
And the reality is that the side hustle is a distraction and someone selling you an easy dollar. So if I ever look back at all the different times someone has come to me and positioned something, Amazon stores, digital real estate, you name the list fucking goes on and on and on about these great sales techniques, if you will. They all take your eye off the ball. They all remove your ability to focus on your true foundational business, and they all paint the picture of it's greener on the other side.
Mhm.
And everyone I talk to after pulling their head out of their ass has always said what you said. I took my eye off the ball and I lost 100 grand. So instead of a side hustle, you got side hustled, right? And that's the reality. Is that when people are planting the seed of, hey, you should add this to your repertoire of business, and it's got nothing to do with what you do professionally and what people know you for, that you're getting side hustle. Now,
Yeah.
what something you said there that I'll touch on is there's a difference in side hustles and adding a vertical within a well-developed business. Okay, so we'll use my company, right? Consulting for business owners. Well, it was stupid of me not to have a payroll company. After the 47th person said, "Can you handle my payroll?"
Yeah.
It was stupid of me not to have an accounting sleeve where the 34th person said, "Can you do my books?" Adding verticals that are not going to require you to sell anything additional, they're just a byproduct of what you currently do, is not a side hustle. So we should be talking about that too, and we'll segment into that here in a minute. My opinion is the side hustle is just that. It's the side hustle, meaning it's got nothing to do with what I do for my 8 to 5 or my 9 to 5. It's got nothing to do with my current business, but it's something in addition to that I could put minimal hours in and make a lot of money.
Yep.
The shit never works out. I mean, I don't know. I'm 15 years in, and I've still yet to come across anyone in the MLM. No one selling Monavie. No one selling, whatever these other fucking multi-level marketing. What was the latest one? You Should Be Here, that travel agency where all the people traveled the world and hooked you into timeshares. There's like 3 people in the world that made money. It was the 3 people that started those things, right? Because
Mhm.
they got really good at selling the side hustle. Right. So I thought this was a really good topic because of where we're at in the world today in business,
Yeah.
where we're at in the world today with political climates, interest rate environments, inflation. People are searching tirelessly for additional revenue streams and cash. And so side hustle is going to be 2024's word of the year. I guarantee it, because
Yep.
everyone's going to be looking to do something different to help their situation.
Yep.
Um, so just the reality is side hustles are a side distraction in
Yeah.
most cases. Now, if you're a stay-at-home mom, God bless you, taking care of kids and you're bored and you want a side hustle, a completely different conversation. But if you're an
Absolutely.
operator like you and I were, or like, man, I got people to feed and payroll to pay and families to take care of, and I can't be taking my eye off the ball to sell some shit on Facebook or some Instagram uh, sponsored ad or some Amazon cart. It just isn't gonna. It's not reality. So people got to be careful what they're doing today, especially companies like yours and mine are going to buy those companies out before it's
Yeah.
said and done.
Yep. And I will say, there's two major things that you touched on that I want to be very clear on. Keith is operating a very large company. I'm operating a very large company. Those ideas Keith got were not. Keith didn't just have an epiphany and say, "Oh, let me see if I can offer this." He had client after client after client request two services that he doesn't offer. You went out then and you're like, "Oh, well, these guys need this. I can easily integrate this into what I do, so I'm going to offer it." Same thing when the pandemic happened, okay, and everything shut down. All of a sudden, the EIDL and the PPP went gangbusters. So I had to add that to our offer, to my offering. The only thing I missed on was the ERC, but because of all the fraud that's taking place, I'm actually glad that I skipped that dance. Okay, so any business can operate and add something vertical based on feedback from your clients if you're speaking to them. All right. But we are not, Keith and I, or anyone in our position, is not going to start a side hustle business. It's just a distraction. Right. Now, maybe we could be on a board of a company. Maybe we could offer our unique skill set if we know it's limited to 1 or 2 hours a week doing something else. Okay. But I'm certainly not starting over from scratch. And the other thing with a side hustle is if you don't know it, okay, you don't have any business investing in it. Doesn't matter if you have a company or not, right? If you don't know that market, if you don't know that offering, that service, and everything that goes into it, you shouldn't be trying to run it and sell it to other people. Okay, you want to make sure you're an expert.
Requirement.
What was that?
That should be a requirement when you're filing for your business at the beginning of time.
Yeah,
Are you going to sell bullshit you don't know about? No.
yeah, I agree. Right? Think about it like this, and this will lead us into current market conditions. There's very little to no discretionary income. Okay. What I do is a needed service. What Keith does is a needed service. And we're still fighting over additional, income and competing with others based on that because there's not a lot of discretionary income and people's budgets are tight. So even if they have an allotted budget for your service, okay, that doesn't mean that they're going to move forward with you because they have to be wary of how much they spend on what. Okay. And that leads me to this point. If you are not consistently over delivering, you don't know what you're offering inside and out, and you're not doing it the best you can, and certainly better than your competition, well, then the business is going to fail. So it doesn't really matter what side hustle you have because it's all going to go to zero. All right. And in these economic times, to focus on more than one thing is suicide. Okay. You're not going to get better than someone that's been doing it 5 years or 10 years every single day. It's not going to happen. All right. So, what you need to do is be very smart and selective about where you put your time, effort, energy, money, and resources. And it should be only to the current thing that is working that you know like the back of your hand.
Yeah. So a lot of my mentors have been actually talking about this very topic in the past month, call it. And to your point, like stick to the base of what you know, right? And instead of trying to say, oh, there's a shiny thing over here that I could make a couple grand extra a month on, take that same effort and energy and time and deploy it on how to stand out in your current setting. right? So
Yeah.
if you're a financial planner, if you're a mechanic, I was just on the phone with a client who, he's not even a client, he's a friend of mine. He's breeding these astronomically amazing fucking French bulldogs that sell for ridiculous amounts of money. But the reality is he's stuck and he doesn't know how to get out there and get more approach. And especially when people are sitting on money, it's hard to sell a dog for 40,000 bucks, right? Whereas 6 months ago, he was selling 2 or 3 a month, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, the same conversation needs to happen across all industries, and everyone should have this with themselves. Is like, what should I be doing in my current profession to stand out? What
Hmm.
should I be doing different? How ask your quality. What are you doing on social media? What are you not doing on social media? Are you building your brand? Are you making reels and doing all the things to stick out and be different? What can you do in that space to change it up so people understand who you are and remember you? Right? What are you doing in your marketing? What are you doing in your daily activities, your outreach? Are you cold calling? Like, what else can you be doing that's different and that goes against what your current grain is if it needs to be different? Because that's going to be what takes you from sinking the ship in the next 24 months to either just getting by or dominating in your space.
Yeah. And I want to add to that. Just keeping the ship afloat for the next 12 to 24 months. I know that sounds terrible. I know it sounds terrible. I know nobody wants to think in terms like that. However, keeping everything moving and working in the right direction over the next 12 to 24 months will actually open up a ton of market share for you to go after. Because a lot of companies will probably not make it. Why? Because they started side hustles, or they're not completely locked in and focused. They're not aware, or they're not adjusting to the current economic realities. Here's another thing with the side hustles, Keith. You said it without saying it. Are you doing everything on social media? Well, guess what? This is another reason why you shouldn't start a side hustle if you're a true operator with a great company. You're going to be putting out two different messages. Okay. So, like for me, all I talk about is financing and growth and business. Now I'm going to start talking about pet products that I really like because it helped my dog. I don't think so. You're going to confuse your audience. Okay. That's another downfall of running a side hustle. All right. Unless you're 100% sure and you're making a full pivot and you know that's what you want to do and that's where the market is and you have some crazy competitive advantage, you're going to get killed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not telling you not to experiment. We're telling you to be smart.
Yeah.
Make wise
I'll
decisions.
give a real example, right? So and I'm following my own words here, right? So we traditionally work with home services and the general contracting side and do a lot of consulting for those business owners. Well, times are tough, business is tough, right? So I luckily picked a recession proof type industry to work in. Well, I have come up with a solution for those who probably would never hire me. And it's now a course to help subcontractors go from 1099 subcontracting to becoming a full fledged business owner and never having to do anything different than they're currently doing. They can still subcontract for all of the people that they want. But the reality is, I've listened long enough, and the same question always pops up with these guys is, what do I do with taxes? How do I handle taxes if all my money is 1099? Well, I've just went out and created a 3 month course to walk them through the entire journey of going from subcontractor to business owner of subcontractors, mitigating taxes, learning payroll, doing all the shit, and then we're going to help implement at a much lower price point than our typical clients are. So when we're having conversations around pivoting, right? This is a value add pivot.
Hmm.
It's something that is going to work and get us over the hump and probably bring way more clientele to the table, because this is somewhat a feeder system.
Yep.
Because when they get there, then the next evolution is, all right, well, now we're doing 2 million of revenue, and then 5 million of revenue, and then 10.
Yep.
And it all started by me being a subcontractor.
Yep.
So the reality is, it's not difficult to find something in your current avenue to add
Mm-hmm.
that can help you sustain your ebbs and flows through the next 12 months, 24 months, whatever it's going to be.
Case in point, right, Keith? And we didn't talk about this. You just came up with a program to offer to your specific market for that's launching or launched. Guys, this is scary. I want you to understand. Me and Keith did not discuss this before, and we actually haven't discussed this at all. But I also just dropped it. It comes out on the 1st, Capital Tools. And Keith, you actually have a video in there going over a personal financial statement. Okay. I did the exact same thing. Why did I do that? Because I want all of our clients to be educated so they know how to get the best deals, whether it's an SBA loan, equipment financing, a business loan, a line of credit. And I'm putting it out there. I could have charged probably $5,000 to $10,000 for this course. It's 7 hours of content with basically a roadmap to everything somebody needs. It's a fractional CFO course about lending. Okay. I came out with this. I priced it so stupid cheap at like $500. The bonuses alone are worth probably 1,000. Okay.
Why can't we have cost you 20 grand? You just ain't got the bill yet.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I'm just telling you guys, like, we're doing this to help our clients, and that's how they will get introduced to us. Plus, they'll already know what they need to know. And when you have an educated client about your services, he is a loyal client. He is a client that's going to be a raving fan. Okay. Me and Keith did the exact same strategy. Okay. For the exact same clients independently of each other. Independently of each other. What does that tell you guys? It means that you should lead with value, continue to deliver value. Most people are going to work with you. The ones that aren't, don't worry about them. They're not clients for you anyway. All right. And that's not a side hustle. That's another offering that integrates perfectly with what I do, perfectly with what Keith does. Okay. That's the difference. That's not a side hustle. That's an integration.
Yeah.
Okay. That was Keith.
If we could just shift that side hustle, which is like the 15th top trending phrase currently, into just reinvest back into your own business.
There you go.
Like, the reality is this too. Here's the question. If you own a business and your profit margin is 30%, your net profit margin is 30%, why the fuck are you investing anywhere else? There's nowhere else that's going to give you a 30% ROI year over year. So why not put every single dollar you can back into your own hustle?
Yep. Guys,
so speaking of putting money back into shit, let's talk a little bit about some things that are rubbing me the wrong way in your world.
Okay.
And I think this is important for the consumer side of the world more than it is for you and me. But the reality is this. It's no longer 2010 to 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates are no longer 2%. Inflation is no longer 0. So the reality of this is, when you need funding, leverage, liquidity, lines of credit, you can't come to the table with the 2010 mindset of, I'm going to get a 2% loan for the next 30 years fixed. I'm going to get a bridge loan for the next 50 years at a 1% fixed rate. Like, those things are gone, man.
Yeah.
And here's why I'm aggravated. The reality is that there's a lot of people making shitty decisions based on a current interest rate model, and they're going to be out of business next year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are making shitty decisions to take on money, scared of an interest rate, but are willing to go out of business. And that's the reality of what's going to happen if they don't take the money.
Yeah.
And that's not a plug for you or anyone else. This is a plug. I've got clients that are circling the toilet bowl because of ineffective spending, who are calling me to create solutions. And we create the solution, and the solution's hogwash. I can't believe you would come at me with that solution. I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
So the reality is, and this goes to for everyone who is listening who is not in that corner, those of you who are stacking money and waiting for the other shoe to hit um, to take advantage, right, of the scenario. You guys are there's a lot of fucking businesses that are going to be for sale here in the next 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is no longer 2010. We as humans cannot continue, or I should say, well, let me remove the word humans and just put in business owner because humans do stupid shit. But as a business owner who's not new, let's put it that way, someone with tenure, someone with a line of wins is willing to go out of business because they're scared to take funding that costs them an extra 4 or 5%.
Well, I'll lay it out real quick. SBA right now, guys, is going to be sitting around 12%. Okay. Any equipment financing you get around 12 or lower than 12, huge win. Any line of credit you get between 10 and let's say sub 20, pretty big win. Anything that you get fixed, meaning a fixed rate, is a big win. Okay. You guys have to educate yourselves on where the current market is before you make a decision, number one. And you should do that before you apply. Number two, okay, you need to make sure two things, okay, are true on any type of financing you're about to take out. One, you need the increase in cash flow to be more than the current payment. Okay. So if you're going to go get a piece of equipment, it's going to cost you $2,000 a month. If that equipment isn't going to bring you in more than $2,000 a month, you shouldn't do it. Okay. If it brings you in $10,000 a month, you should do it all fucking day. Okay. Number two, you got to look at what is the cost of the capital versus what is the return on the investment. If the return is more than the cost of capital, you should do it. If it's not, you shouldn't. Here's the last thing that no one will say that brokers or helps people get financing. If you have a problem and you need to take money to solve it, okay, you need to be 90% sure at least that you have the problem figured out and all it is the money. Okay. Where if you spend that money, you're 90% sure that it's going to fix the problem and allow you to move forward operating your company. If you are not sure and you're just borrowing money just to see how it goes over, let's say, the last 30, 60, 90 days of the company, you shouldn't be doing it. Okay? Those are the three conditions. And if you are meeting all three of those conditions, if you need to pull the trigger on some financing, great. If you're unsure, you shouldn't be doing it. But educate yourself before you go and apply to make sure that one, you're not getting ripped off, and two, you're getting something that's actually going to help you. All right, guys? And I'm going to tell you something. This so right now, by far my favorite that we've done, Keith. It's just getting better and better. Please, guys, share this with someone that needs to hear it. This is from two operators that have made the mistakes before, that have fucked up more times than we can count. Okay? I fucked up more than how much facial hair Keith has. All right? You can count them one by one. I've outpaced that by far. Okay? But you guys are learning from two people that are very transparent and open. All right? So share this with someone that needs to hear it. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Keith, you got anything else to add?
See you on the flip side.
See you on the flip side.